Friends calling, what a wonderful thing. So, um, I went to this really lovely shop the other day, yesterday, day before, I don't know. What is time? And it was an antique store. It's called Antique Trove, and it's kind of like a large hall, and there are 6, 7, 8, maybe 10 pathways down between these booths, and there may be like 8 by 8 feet, and you can rent one, and then you can just put your stuff in there, and it's kind of like this permanent antique retail front. And it's called Antique Trove. I don't consider it antiques because there's a bunch of pop culture stuff in there, furniture that's a little too modern to be considered antique. But it's sort of these little snapshots of people's lives and the things that they're either trying to turn into money or things that they are done with, they want to pass on for money. And I just enjoy seeing that sort of physical evidence of someone's life and some of the things they've accumulated. And look, the big trick to these places, I think, is unless you're trying to, source some sort of valuable thing they don't know they have, which they always do because everybody's running everything through eBay. You get to kind of see what somebody has that they want to make your antique in a way, because whatever you get in there, you're buying it because you see this thing and it's like flashy for a moment and you go, oh, this is cool. What a cool thing. I've never seen this before. I want to get this. And it's pretty cheap. Let me get it. Let me take it home. I almost did that with it's like a tin version of an old TV. It wasn't a TV. It was just like like in the same way that you have like a tin bread box or something back in the day. It was made of that same sort of material, aluminum, something. I don't even know. And I almost bought it and I thought, I would buy this and then I'll take it home and I'll show my wife and it'll be cool and we'll both go, oh, wow, neat. And then I'll put it somewhere. And then in 6 months, it'll be my antique. It never really changes its state, but the adoration of whoever has it goes up and down and up and down and up and down, but it's just an inanimate object. It kind of triggers an emotional human experience in the same way abstract art is sort of suggestive, but in reality, it just prompts something in you and you sort it out. And now you've had an experience and you credit that object, but it didn't actually do anything. It all exists inside of you. I love going in and doing that because it's real. It's an actual physical, tangible relationship with an object. And in one of those booths, I found a yearbook from 2021, pretty recently. But it was a yearbook for a local high school. I don't know the school. I'm kind of new in the area I live in. And I opened it and I thought, oh, wow, who would just give their yearbook away? Like, I still have my senior year yearbook because I have, 200-300 comments in there from different friends from this time capsule, this sort of precious, unique, special, horrible, wonderful, disarming, motivating, discouraging time where everything's, just like kind of what ends up being just kind of crazy. And why would you give that away? Why would you even try to sell something like that? And why would somebody else buy it? This is not their yearbook. They didn't even go to that high school. Why would you want that? And then I opened it. And there were 2 comments in there from people. And it was very brief. And I thought, man, this is kind of a moment, because I finished high school in 2004 and I went off to college and I finished college in 2008. I'm 40 years old. And I remember high school ending and we all spent 2 or 3 days with our yearbooks going on like, hey, could you sign this? Hey, will you just, I'm going to miss you, all that stuff. You don't actually truly realize that those last couple of days are the last time you all are ever in the same building together, ever, because everybody doesn't show up to your reunion. I didn't go to my reunions. And then I remembered going off to college and my roommate Steve, my sophomore year, my second year of college, this thing came out called the Facebook. And he thought it was the coolest thing. And I kind of didn't really understand what it was. And he went out and he got all these signatures. I think it was 500 or 1,500 signatures you needed from people that were students that expressed an interest in having this thing called the Facebook. And the parameters of it was originally just for Harvard, and that was just for the Ivy League, and then just schools in the region. But you had to have a .edu email. And when you're a student at a college, you get your own email. That's your name, usually your last name, unless you're like Smith or something, then your full name probably, unless you're Kevin Smith. You get the picture. And you had to have a .edu email, and that email is made defunct 6 months after you finish college. So it was really just this thing that was created to just have as sort of a networking thing at school. But the conceit was that this would be this dynamic living document version of a yearbook, because you had the wall and people comment on it, and your friends from high school that went to other colleges that also had Facebook, they could communicate with you through there, and it was kind of like keeping in touch. And Facebook evolved. Facebook became a whole nother thing, just like all other social media platforms. And Facebook has since been completely removed and sort of, look, Instagram is also Facebook or Meta. Even Facebook changed, right? It became Facebook, not the Facebook. This is like an infamous scene in The Social Network, the movie about Mark Zuckerberg creating Facebook. And that movie makes it seem like Facebook was kind of nowhere. And then, I forget his name, Sean something, the guy that was behind Napster, came along, played by Justin Timberlake brilliantly, came along and said, hey, drop the, just Facebook. Cool idea, great idea. But it was the Facebook for a while first. It was the Facebook when I got it. I was just Thomas. I didn't have my last name, and all the way till 2019 when I finally got rid of Facebook. Accidentally, great decision. Got rid of Facebook in December of 2019. Completely dodged the entire COVID mania. Amazing. Got rid of Twitter then as well, just because I didn't want it. And I'm standing there, and opening this yearbook from 2021 with like 2 comments in it and just blank pages in the beginning and the end got me to think, we created this technology, this thing that was delivered to us as something that made an improvement, a better version of the yearbook. And then it erased the yearbook. Because why would you write on a yearbook now? In 2021, why would you write on a yearbook? You've got every single aspect of communication with people, even though you're not in school together anymore, even though you don't see each other anymore, to communicate to one another. So why would you commemorate this moment? Well, you commemorate it because the layers of life are what provide its richness. And when you create these short-term feedback loops, these digital interactions alike, you used to be able to do this thing on Facebook called poking. Maybe you can still do it, I don't know. And you would get a poke. And a friend of mine named Steve, not the same Steve, a different Steve. He passed away, and I had taken a little time away from Facebook. And when I came back onto Facebook, this is maybe 2010, I had 3 pokes from Steve. Well, 6 months after he had died. They had just been laying there. And I never touched them, because the moment you poke back, that poke is gone. And I wouldn't be able to get poked back by him because Steve can't poke anymore because Steve is dead. And I remember seeing that and thinking, I exchanged a digital interface with a guy who passed away in exchange for convenience and being able to check the box that said, yeah, no, we interacted. I talked to Steve. You poked him. Doesn't mean anything. It's more of a like, hey, right? But a hey is the beginning to a conversation. It's not just, hey, you're not walking past each other in the street, but you are in the digital street. And I didn't get to say bye to Steve because I had already allowed my life to become a digital platform, a living platform where everything is reduced down to a character count, something that's changed a bit since. But that's what it was for about 10 years. I think Twitter, before it became X, was 120 characters, or 140, and then that became 280, and now it's pretty much limitless, and you can put video and all that stuff, and links and all that. But those things shifted our reality, and it really caused me to start thinking about, how did we get to here? And this idea of your family, friends, the friends of your parents, they see you once every 6 months, and like, oh my God, you grew so much. But your parents don't say that because they see you every day. You notice you grow because all of a sudden your shoe size changes or those pants don't fit anymore. It's the new year of the soccer season or the football season or the baseball season or dance or whatever it is you do. And you got to get a different size uniform because you grew. You come back from summer break and all of a sudden somebody's 6 inches taller. My God, what happened? Right? Because there's this measurable change because we physically alter over time. It got me to think about what is it actually that social media has done to us? And in this era of sort of AI fear, I don't fear AI because whatever we had to give up to AI, we did a long time ago. We allowed social media to curate our personalities and to temper our physical, personal relationships. It's no surprise to me that people are very, very incapable of behaving in a social setting in the way they used to. It's not a shock to me every time I get abhorrent customer service or an attitude from somebody in a store or somebody who has road rage or maybe even somebody who does want to have a conversation but kind of doesn't really know what to talk about. And it's not even about critical thinking anymore or being able to crack a joke. It's simple, basic interaction. Of course that's what's happened. Of course that's what transpired. We went from commemorating moments and layering life and the scarcity of time together and exchanged it for, well, we will always have time together because we can meet on this digital platform. We can meet in this world where we can send each other pictures and messages and we can communicate to each other. But that's not what human life is about. It's about actually being around each other physically and having experiences together. There is something so serene about that little lull in a conversation at a dinner party where everybody is kind of satiated and happy, and it's not uncomfortable and nobody feels the need to fill the space. It just kind of is. I listened to an interview with an inmate that got out of prison, and they said the one thing that will define your ability to succeed is, can you be at peace with nothing other than your mind? And I thought, oh my God, anybody who gets arrested nowadays and does any significant time is completely screwed because they can't. Personally, I could sit in a room completely quietly for 8 hours, not talk to anybody, not even talk to myself, and I'm fascinated. I'm totally entertained. There's like a backlog of 1 million thought experiments I haven't run, things I haven't thought about, peace I haven't found. And we have completely forfeit that cultivating of ourselves. And I want to try to track with you where that started and how easy it got. Do you all remember before Facebook there was MySpace? And do you remember what was on the main page of MySpace? My top 8. You could rank your friends. When in your life have you gone up to one of your friends and gone, look, you were my number 3 best friend yesterday, but you put up a song I didn't like, you said something I didn't like, or you didn't respond to me in the time frame that I wanted, so now you're number 8, and I just need you to know you're my 8th best friend now. Think about how unbelievably negative that is, or destructive that is, or how much that erodes your relationship with somebody. You just told them that there's a way that they have to behave in order to reach a status of priority in their life. That's a power play. That's a dismissal of everything you've shared. That means you constantly have to keep up with somebody and keep up with somebody. And we just kind of accepted it. We just went with it. And those little incremental things, those are crumbs put on a trail like Hansel and Gretel, who then get to the witch's house that's full of candy, is totally edible, and before you know it, you're getting baked. Before you know it, you are, in the terms of the AI fear-mongering, you are now a potted plant. And you volunteered for it because it was incremental. There's this fascinating difference in how men and women commit crime. Let's pretend that everybody wants to steal a foot-long sandwich from Subway. The men, they bust in, they steal the sandwich, and they run out. The women go in and smile their way to 2 inches at a time, but by the time that week is done, she got a foot-long sandwich too. But she didn't commit a crime because the justice system usually accounts for singular instances. Big tech does the exact same thing. They don't come in and steal your life. They go in and they gradually get you to give it to them 2 inches at a time. First, it's MySpace, top 8. Then it's the Facebook. Is your school on it? Do you have it? How many friends do you have? How many interactions do you have? How many cool pictures do you put up of yourself doing awesome stuff? And social media stopped being about friends and family like 10 or 15 years ago. It's 2026 now. That stopped a long time ago. So I cultivated this thing that helps me keep my mind away from this controlling thing that we've allowed to move into our lives, because we don't need to worry about Skynet walking out of the ocean and taking over. We don't need to worry about data centers sucking up all of our energy and not letting us sleep and using the water for that. By the way, golf uses 7 times more water than any data center collective ever does. Consider what the news is making you think. And the thing is, I want to share it with anybody who's willing to hear it, is it's not about what's said, because everything has been said. Everything you can imagine has been said hundreds of times, either directly or indirectly, either implicitly or explicitly, either word for word in the way that you would say it, or by meaning. And it's also not about who said it, because there are people with all the power in the world who have said those things, and there are people with no power who have said those things. What actually matters is who made sure you heard it in the way they needed you to. So it's not what's said, it's not who said it, it's who made sure you heard it in the way they needed you to. Because that's what uproots you. That's what forfeits your agency. And now you're lost in the world where you're being steered by an algorithm, by a company who cares about you as a product, because it's their bottom line that's reached. Consider that the race to information in the information age and in this tech age there was people accumulating more power in shorter time than the race to arms and everybody's favorite go-to war to analogize things through, World War II, under the rule of leaders who were not elected and were about 10 to 15 years younger, sometimes 20 years younger than any general or prime minister or president or ruler in World War II. More power, faster, unelected, way younger. Translate that into terms of war, that would be countries are waging war, but the people doing it are the weapons manufacturers. How fast do you think they're going to try out their next cool thing? How fast do you think they're going to go, oh, they made a bomb that can do that? Ooh, we got to make a bomb who can do this. And then they just fire them, because they don't care about the consequence on all of us. They just care about the efficacy of the product. In the weapons manufacturing sense, it would be guns, planes, tanks, well, not tanks as much anymore, bombs, chemical warfare, and now digital warfare. Terms like PSYOP are thrown around a lot. I think we're 20 years into one. And we all forfeit for convenience. We all forfeit for dopamine hits as opposed to building towards something. In American Pie, there's this character referred to as Shitbreak, and he gets into tantric sex, which is to hold back your own sexual energy for long enough that when you finally do have sex, it's even more exciting. I've never tried that. I don't really know if it works. But it does speak to what matters in the richness of life. It does speak to this idea that if you just go for the dopamine hit and go for the dopamine hit and go for the dopamine hit, you as an adaptable being will eventually just think that that's the way that the world works, and also the way that it's supposed to work. And I thought, how many times have we created something that was supposed to expedite or make convenient or improve upon a thing that we have, only to extinguish that thing? Because I'm holding a yearbook that's empty, because the technology that was created in order to improve it has now been surpassed by other technologies that were created to improve that thing. And now the whole thing has gone full circle and destroyed the plant that originally lived in that pot and replaced it with a plastic plant. Fake plastic trees. Great song, Radiohead, check it out. You don't necessarily know Radiohead. I hope you do. We don't go to a concert to listen to Radiohead. We go to a concert so for a week we can tell everybody we're going to see Radiohead, and then at the show we can take pictures and videos to prove we were there, and to then somehow get the short-term feedback loop dopamine hit of proving that we're cool enough to go. We've all become the person who wears the band shirt to the concert instead of going to the concert to experience what it is live. I see videos of people doing things to do them on video. You see them all the time too. Because we don't talk to one another. We're feeding things into this digi cloud, this great digital algorithmic god that is somehow going to allow us to win the victory of going viral so that maybe we can someday validate ourselves to ourselves by being a good Boy Scout, seeking all the most popular Boy Scout badges, and going everywhere and going, somebody reflect me back to myself in a way that I can finally respect and love. And the reality of the situation is, you're actually already perfect the way that you are. You just keep ignoring yourself. And the reason so many of us are so miserable is literally because we forfeit the richness of life. We stopped commemorating these moments. What child star do you know that had a good life? I can think of one, maybe two. Elijah Wood and Christian Bale, but Christian Bale wasn't really a child star in the same way Elijah Wood was. But all the other ones are some kind of messed up, man. We're not meant for fame. We're not meant for constant attention. We are social herd beings. We are meant to be in groups of 30 or 35. But now, you're living in a world where you're regarding 10, 20, 30, 50 million people. Hashtags. Hashtags existed not because you said something interesting, but just to draw attention to yourself. As you get older, you will realize that those little things that get your attention, that girl in that clothes you like, looking that way you like, accentuating that body part you're attracted to, she's just another human being. And there are a million other like her. That guy over there who's flexing his car and his money, he's not special. There are 10 million others like him. And you will see that more clearly as you get older. I promise you that. And you'll know that judging somebody who's younger than you for the way that they're doing life is completely unfair. You have to be patient with them. Think of your age now. Think of yourself 5 years ago, 7 years ago. Think about how much you thought you knew. Think about what you thought about the people who are the age that you are now. Let's say you're 18. Now you're 25. Think about what you thought of a 25-year-old person when you were 18. You're wrong, aren't you? You didn't have that right at all. Now you know way more. And in 5 years, the same thing will have occurred. And it will happen like that over and over and over and over. Do not give them your attention. You have to turn the thing on in order to be deceived by it. It still relies on us. And I recognize that I'm sitting on a platform called YouTube, recording on that digital device, the deceiver, the hypnosis machine, that little 7-inch piece of brainwash, uploading, saying things that are effectively making me a hypocrite. But you know what I discovered about being a hypocrite? It's a beautiful thing. I hate hypocrites because I am one, just like every other living being. But it's a beautiful thing because it's a really human thing to do. We're all on a public script now. You can't go to the theater and not be laced with political agenda. You can't watch a movie and not look at who got cast and wonder, why them? Why did everything get digitized? Why did everything become castable? Why did everything become social programming? Well, because we submitted to it. We agreed to it. We allowed it. I understand why people go and move out to the forest. The myth of the troll is literally people who sort of absented themselves from society, went up into the hills, and gradually became another sort of type of human being that we then look at as trolls. And now the irony of it all is the people who just agitate on social media are regarded as trolls. Do you see how all this stuff reoccurs and it comes back in the same way? There's this argument that if the entire world ended, science would come back the exact same way. Well, so would myths, so would faith, so would religious stories. They would change the names of people and the way that you got the lesson would be different, but the ultimate end game would actually be the exact same. Just like you would discover the elements again, but you would have given them different names. This is a harmonious balance, but we are completely out of balance because we keep submitting to this short-term feedback loop. because we get worked down and tired. I get it. You want to scroll. I want to scroll. But the richness of life is being sold out because you don't have a yearbook where you can leaf through some pages and go, oh, that's right. Oh my God, I remember that thing. I remember how we used to do that. Oh, hags. That's right. Hags. Have a great summer. Man, what a cop-out. Of course that person wrote it that way. Yeah, because you remember them. Because you interacted with them. You saw them every day. You watched them grow up for 4 years, just like they watched that with you. But if you're walking around with your head in your phone, you don't see that as much. You see which filter they decided to go with now. You see how, oh, they changed, so now this other filter works better. And that's definitely a life you can choose to live. But there is such an incredibly beautiful richness that you can have if you have the courage to just be strong for a little bit longer and allow those moments to define your life, as opposed to the instances. Because that's actually who you are. That actually defines you. That actually makes you somebody worth talking to. You have things that you can draw from now. And if you live in a world where anybody who says something is a problem, whatever they say can be a problem, you end up tribal. You end up rooting for people because, well, that person pisses off the people I don't like. Or that person keeps saying the things I want to hear. Confirmation bias is a hell of a drug. We're all susceptible to it. There was a study in England years ago where they discovered that people who are fanatical about their soccer team, they have a certain high when their team scores and another one when they win. But you know what the ultimate high is? Seeing their rival lose. It's wired into us. But the goodness of being, the richness of life, it truly comes from being present into every single experience that you have. And that doesn't mean sitting and going, I'm here, I'm looking at them, I'm hearing them. It means not being aware that time is passing at all. It means actually being inside of each moment. And you will never be able to do that if you've got your eyes on your phone or you've got the phantom buzz in your pocket and you're wondering what the next notification is or the next thing you're going to do is. It will never, ever, ever come to you. And eventually you'll lose the ability to define yourself for who you are because you will become so busy living as a person that is the perception of you by the digital diaspora you have curated. The number one thing that you can do for yourself, and if even one person who watches this actually does this, this will have been so worth it. Turn it off. Just turn it off. And if you don't believe me, turn it off for a week. You'll discover a mental peace you forgot all about. You will learn things about the world that you had overlooked completely. You will realize that that thing that makes you think you have a complete independent sort of autonomy over your life and who gets in and who gets out isn't true at all. You're a horse with blinders on because you're just supposed to serve. You're supposed to go wherever the whip cracks. It's a prison. And it will never be anything but that because that's all it can offer. Recognize the difference between fighting the system and being fed a fight by the system to tire you out. It's the difference between making choices and going out into the world and creating something versus playing a video game. That video game was created to entertain you so that you will buy more stuff, right? That's a system creating a fight that makes you think you're fighting the system, but in reality, it's just there to tire you out. It's just fed you a fight. How many times have you gotten pissed at your game? How many times have you tossed your joypad? How many times have you gone, this is stupid, felt personally judged? You're getting played, man. You're straight up getting played. And you're volunteering for it. It's not what was said. It's not who said it. It's who made sure you heard it in the exact way they needed you to. If you do that and you apply that to everything in your life, it's going to hurt, okay? It is going to hurt. But I promise you, you will be free. And you will slowly trick yourself into developing the ability to think critically. Because you'll disregard the character. You'll disregard their rhetoric. You'll just see who made sure that message reached you in the way that they needed you to. Think about how many times you've watched the news, you've seen a clip somewhere or a video or some outrage bait, of something that happened in a state you can't even spell. But all of a sudden, you kind of think that happened to you. All of a sudden, you've got all of your replies ready. You've got all of your sass ready. You've got all of your shade slinging ready. You're ready to fight. You've built up an avatar of yourself going off, yeah, and then I do this and I do this. And if that happened, there'd be 2 people getting arrested today. What are you doing? What are you doing? What do you want a bar fight for? You're sitting on the toilet. Come on. And we all do this. That is literally it fooling you. It's not what's said. It's not who said it. It's who made sure you heard it in the way they needed you to. And what you'll find is that thing with a camera on the front looking at you. It's looking at you. Sure, it's not recording you, but it is recording all of your keystrokes. It is noticing all the things you look up. It's also noticing all the things the people around you look up. Because it controls you now. There is an app for that. Was the next step after that MySpace top 8. Hey, there's an app for that. Yeah, convenient. Oh my God, I could just order it right here. Yeah, you can. Where you are, which it knows. Oh, you're walking by the store from that app. Hey, do you want to go in? You leave it and it goes, how'd you like your visit there? You've got a waiter now. Ask yourself this. Say you're renting an apartment or you have a house that you have a mortgage on, which is the vast majority of us, right? Renting an apartment or a mortgage. If the apartment manager showed up once every 6 months, or the bank that holds the mortgage, the lien, shows up every 6 months and walks in the front door and then shifts all of your furniture around in your whole house and then goes, we optimized. We looked at a bunch of numbers and the way people use stuff, and for this particular space, it's better if the chair's over there, the dining table's over there, the TV's over there, and we'll see you in 6 months. Wouldn't that infuriate you? Isn't that a completely baffling idea? Yeah, you do it every 6 months. You accept an update that rearranges the apps, changes the colors, alters the interface, because it was never yours to begin with. You are theirs. And that's why you don't need to worry about all this AI stuff, because it started with my top 8. And then it became the Facebook. And then it became Twitter. Hey, you can get access to celebrities. You can literally see what they're saying. You can also be right on the beat of a news story and get the actual information. And now people are so lost in it, they think evidence is the same as interpretation. My truth. You can buy your way to enough views and subscribers and enough convincing comments that people who make up 15% of your audience, which is the only real audience you have of actual humans, think that there are a bunch of people who think like this. Because we'll look at the numbers. Yeah, they're numbers. Hollywood math. Do you think Hollywood math just changed because all of a sudden things are digital now? Do you think that now they don't fool numbers anymore? You actually think Avatar, Avengers, Barbie, the Odyssey, do you actually think those things made $1 billion? Or do you think they told you that? Because now you think it's good. It's not what's said. It's not who said it. It's who made sure you heard it in the way that they needed you to. Because you're the battery. And you're totally free to stop doing it. 1 week. Do 1 week. Turn it off. See how you feel. I bet you're going to get to know somebody you'll come to love a lot. And it's you. You don't realize that your self-esteem and your confidence are not as great as they could be because every single time you have a problem, you outsource the emotional solution. Whether that's going to scroll some more, whether that's having meaningless sex, whether that's smoking too much weed, drinking too much alcohol, or going off and playing yet another 5 hours of some video game where you're cussing people out over some PvP server. You're outsourcing it. And you quietly have come to accept that you're not strong enough to deal with your own life. So your self-esteem goes down because you're letting yourself down. Your confidence goes down because you keep outsourcing something. If every time you take your car to the shop and they go, yeah, we got to send it over to a place in Nebraska and you're in Michigan, would you have confidence in that body shop? Would you have confidence in that mechanic? No, you wouldn't. Because every time you go there, they have to send it somewhere else. Well, I'll just go there instead. That's you and your body. That's you and your mind. That's you and yourself. You've gotten so accustomed to outsourcing things that you don't even have a yearbook to go back to remind yourself of who you were before all of this stuff. Because all the moments that create layers, that create richness, it's not there. You allow your entire life to become a Happy Meal. Feels good, it's exciting. Oh, this tastes delicious. 3 hours later, you're kind of nauseous. You've had diarrhea for at least an hour, and you're kind of wondering why you did that. And yet you know you'll be back tomorrow. 1 week. Just do it for 1 week. You can do 1 week. I have complete faith. 1 week. You're going to find out that there is a beautiful life out there for you. And there's space. And the best part is, you can be whatever character you discover yourself to be. You don't have to fit anybody's norms. You don't have to do anything that doesn't, don't go kill people, right? Don't kidnap somebody. Don't do stupid stuff. Allow yourself to actually be. Ignore what the internet thinks of you. Be fully free. Care about 30, 35 people and what they think. That's it. At most. Because all the other stuff is a phantom anyway. And it was created by people who were too young to understand what they were doing, meddling with too much power for anybody to have, creating stuff that, quite frankly, they don't think is good enough because otherwise they wouldn't have to optimize it all the time, would they? It's not what's said. It's not who said it. It's who made sure you heard it in the way they needed you to. Unplug, guys. It's right there for you. Okay, bye. Hey, Littlefoot.